Hello and welcome to Blu Sky's Factory presentation of AI Academy. I'm Derek Whitaker. Thrive in the age of AI, your business game plan. It's so important as this is making such an impact on the job market and what I'm calling the next industrial revolution, what AI will do to business. I'm Derek Whitaker, founder of Blu Sky Factory, and we're also going to be hearing from one of our colleagues, Darren Good, in this presentation. But before we start, we're not a licensed financial planning, accounting, or law firm. We're simply an education company. We'll give you factual information, not advice. We don't give any general or specific advice on finance, business, investing, trading, accounting, or tax. The AI platforms discussed are third-party tools. We neither own nor control. Their capability, pricing, and availability change without notice, and outcomes depend on how they're used. For advice specific to your situation, please see a licensed financial planner, accountant, or lawyer. And in the case of technical expertise, an IT professional. All right, listen, we want to have a look at something that's really, really important. And it's about one thing, what AI is about to do to your business and what to do about it. Now, you may not be a business owner, but by your business, I mean the business you work for or own, as the case may be. All right, so it's really important to understand where this is all going. The work is going. And I think that's the real critical thing we've got to understand, that things are changing. It's a major disruptor. It's not our forecast, it's theirs. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. The most exposed work is work paid for time at the moment. This is what the experts are saying. So we're talking about briefcase businesses where work that is sold by the hour rather than by the outcome. We're looking at screen-only roles where jobs are done entirely on a computer with no physical component. Number 3, we're talking about anything repeatable, process work that can be described precisely enough to be handed over. And the word is what Elon is developing, Elon Musk, in terms of chips is extraordinary. He's basically saying there aren't enough chips in the workforce to actually compute all the work that needs to be done. And so AI is well suited in this situation to really lift industry to a whole new level. And as it gets cheaper to run, it gets cheaper than employing someone or than using their services. I mean, think about it from a business perspective. AI doesn't require maternity leave. It doesn't require long service leave. It doesn't require holidays. It doesn't require sick days and sick leaves. AI generally doesn't complain, okay, although it is built in with some humanistic type responses, but it doesn't generally complain. It doesn't really come with situations where personal situations can influence how it computes. And so this is becoming quite attractive to business owners because they can engage this 24/7, 365 days a week, days a year. And so this is really, really interesting how this is positioned in this space. And I think the key to understanding AI is its major advantages. This isn't a tech commentator talking either. For example, the former Federal Treasurer of Australia, yes, we're talking Joe Hockey at the National Press Club in the 26th of May 2026. What he was saying is we are sleepwalking into the future. Not just Australia, he named Europe too. And of course, he is the former Australian ambassador to the United States and delivered a budget, not a keynote. And so this is really critical to what he's observing. He recently said 15% unemployment rate in Australia and the Western world by 2030 or 2031, within 5 years, is what he's predicting. 15% unemployment rate in the Western world by 2030 or 2031. Now, this is, again, when he said this in May of 2026. He said AI technology and robotics are replacing people, and it's going to be on a mass scale, and the biggest losers are going to be young people. I think what he's referring to, why young people are so vulnerable here, is they don't have the acquired skill sets over time that the rest of the workforce has. So the thing that people have got to realize is when it comes to AI and engaging in AI, people bring their skill sets to the table and then guide their AI through that with what they know and what they've learned with the skill sets that they have in their particular area of profession. The vulnerability that young people have is they haven't had time to acquire a lot of those skill sets. Now, having said that, the one caveat to that point is that young people are very tech savvy, and I think that's the massive advantage they have here over the older workforce is they are very, very switched on when it comes to using these tools and can quickly adapt. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how this is going to play out. But that's a bit of a wake-up sign when he says 15% unemployment within 5 years. And he said, my expectations by 2030, 2031, within 5 years, we could be facing 15% unemployment in Australia and the Western world. You can check out that full address there at the National Press Club of Australia. And yeah, it's really kind of disturbing. You see this going, guys, wake up. And so the question has become, where is the safety net? It's already being stretched. And where does the money come from? Hockey's pointing wasn't only that jobs would go, it was the system paying for the fallout is already at its limit. We're watching the United Kingdom welfare payments now exceed personal income tax collections, all right? That's not sustainable. And often what happens is governments then expect to increase taxes, particularly the left-leaning ones, expect the people to pay for it by increasing taxes. We're watching in France, Italy, Germany, Japan, same picture. Welfare payments exceeding personal income tax collections. And Australia is nearly at that point as well. Now, if you add 15% unemployment to that mix, this is why serious people have started arguing for a universal wage. And so it really becomes, where is the money going to come from? And what we've got to see here is, you know what? AI increases productivity. How do we adapt to that situation? Well, here's where it's going. Well, let's have a look at what the people building AI are actually saying. And these aren't commentators. They are the people that are developing this technology. They're the ones writing the checks, so to speak. Here's Elon Musk, and this is a really interesting perspective from what he's got to say on this one. Check this out.
AI, it is really still digital. Ultimately, AI can improve the productivity of humans who build things with their hands or do things with their hands, like literally welding, electrical work, plumbing, anything that's physically moving atoms, like cooking food or farming or like anything that's physical. Those jobs will exist for a much longer time. But anything that is digital, which is like just someone at a computer doing something, AI is going to take over those jobs like lightning.
There you go. Take him over like lightning. And this is where it goes. In fact, let's have a look where the money is actually going. This is him with Larry Fink, who, of course, is the head of BlackRock, one of the biggest investment firms in the world, if not the biggest, at the World Economic Forum. Check this out in relation to what he had to say.
With robotics and AI, this is really the path to abundance for all. If you say, people often talk about solving global poverty, or essentially how do we give everyone a very high standard of living. I think the only way to do this is AI and robotics, which doesn't mean that it is without its issues. I mean, we need to be very careful with AI. We need to be very careful with robotics. We don't want to find ourselves in a James Cameron movie, Terminator. He's great movies, love his movies, but we don't want to be in Terminator, obviously. But if you have ubiquitous AI that is essentially free or close to it, and ubiquitous robotics, then you will have an explosion in the global economy, an expansion in the global economy that is truly beyond all precedent.
There you go. Those are his expectations moving into this space. And he goes further. How quickly is this going to roll out? Check this out on the pace of it all.
By the end of next year, I think we'd be selling humanoid robots to the public. That's when we are confident that it's very high reliability, very high safety, and the range of functionality is also very high. You can basically ask it to do anything you'd like.
Now, did you hear that? His reference there, by the end of next year. This was a statement that he made in 2026 when the World Economic Forum was held back in January. So by end of 2027 is the prediction that he was making there. So the question stops being, will AI take jobs, and becomes, which side of that line are you or am I standing on? 15% out of work means 85% still in it. The difference between the two groups is not luck. And this is really the question you've got to look at and go, well, how do I move forward in grappling with all of this? Here's what I have discovered in speaking with people who actually are developing AI. I spoke to one of the owners of this, and he said to me, Derek, AI won't force people out of work. I mean, the jobs will go to those who know how to use AI. And that's the key difference there. It's not like nobody's not going to have any work anymore. He's saying that jobs will go to those who know how to use AI. And the risk isn't the technology, it's being outpaced by someone with your skills who moves faster, who's been able to actually acquire this. Now, typically what happens with technology is that people go, all right, well, I have this technology and then I'm going to have all this free time. I typically have noticed that's not the human pattern. The human pattern is right, we can cram more in and increase our productivity to do more. And when I'm observing companies in 2026 who are spending $10,000 a day in their corporations on artificial intelligence for their teams to work on and use, it shows you how quickly this race is on in terms of getting development going on. We're mostly seeing this in the United States and China. Those are the keys, and I don't think the rest of the world has really woken up to where this is all going. Slowly, but hasn't really done that. And what you've got to understand here is AI has turned the corner. And most people haven't noticed that. They're not seeing it yet. For example, a lot of people are just using AI on this level. They're going as a search engine. They're asking it questions the way you'd ask Google. They're looking for pictures and memes and fun shareable, but barely scratching what it's really, really capable of. The third level, I would say, is to build things, tools, systems, work that used to need a developer, now can be done with coding. It's extraordinary what is possible and how quickly it can be rolled out as well. And most people never get past the first two at the moment. They're just using it for, oh, it made my document, I needed to write an email, and more as an administrative tool. But when you get into building things and building systems, and that's really the key where business is going, that's another level completely. And this is the real advantage where AI has. It's speed to the market, all right? People want accurate work, services and goods delivered fast. And that's always been true. What has changed is what fast now means. The gap between a business that moves at AI speed and one that doesn't is widening every month as AI learns more and more and more and becomes more intelligent. The advantage is not knowing about AI, it's the time you take to deliver. So as I've been implementing in my business, I have noticed that what used to take days to deliver to clients or hours can now be done in minutes. And that's the biggest difference. And it offers a better customer service, higher conversion rates, all these kind of advantages. And it also, for a lot of businesses, they start, particularly small, medium-sized businesses, starts giving them opportunities that they didn't have, that only the big players once had and had exposure to, who had big budgets for development. Whereas now small, medium enterprise can now take advantage of this. And it's even the playing field in many, many regards. I will introduce to you Darren a little bit later. He was saying to me, it used to be that you had to be born in a certain place like Silicon Valley to really prosper from these AI and technological advances. Well, now AI is widening that even more and more people can take advantage of that. So that's really an insightful observation to take advantage of in this day and age. So AI is now at the tipping point, okay? And the real thing you've got to realize is like 6 months ago, AI had more errors in it. There was narrower capability. There were plenty of reasons to kind of just wait and see. I remember a few years back just looking at it and producing a video, just kind of going, well, let's see what this AI can do. It was like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not earth-shattering. Well, today, it's turned the corner, getting far better results, fewer errors, and the reasons to wait have gone. It's kind of like, whoa. And the thing is now, if you don't learn it at this level, it gets harder when the next versions roll out in 6 months' time. And we're not talking years, guys. We're talking weeks and months. And it's this acceleration right now in these times That is absolutely extraordinary. So I want to ask you this question. There's two ways to kind of read this. And the question is, which one are you? If you own the business, you've got to ask, how can I benefit from this disruption in industry? How can I be downstream of it and take advantage of artificial intelligence? Or how can I be the disruption? This is big, right? The other question is, if you're employed, the question becomes, with the experience I already have, how do I design tools for my industry and command a workforce of AI, bringing more value to my employer that I could do alone? All right. And that's the big difference here. It's like, as an employee, you've got to think about, how does it benefit my employer? You keep the skills either way, all right? They're yours. But what changes is how much you can do with them. How much productivity, how can you get this servant of AI working for you to develop and roll out what you need in quicker time? Now, if you wonder where this is all going, well, history has a way of showing us the future because it often repeats itself. And the reality is, we've been here before. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but the Luddites weren't wrong about the machines, okay? In the 19th century, we had textile workers. They smashed the machinery that was taking their trade. They were right that it would change their industry, and wrong that resisting it would help. That's what they made the mistake. They thought, if we run around and smash all these machines, it won't go any further. And the Industrial Revolution moved economics from agriculture and craft to manufacturing. And the people who learned the machines built the century that followed. Every industrial shift rewards the people who learn the tool, not the people who wait for it to pass or want it to go back to the way things were. And that's the big difference. And so what it did for the Luddites were, there were many different implications, okay? Not only just industrialized, but also social implications. People started moving from the countryside into society, forming cities. The problem with that is it caused a lot of social issues. Crime went up. You had health issues, not proper sanitation, sewage, and all those kind of things, harder living conditions. And then what happened was the government then came in and stepped in and started passing legislation. For example, child labour, those kind of rules, and unions started rising, and this sort of thing started having an impact on how to protect the people, and rather than being taken advantage of. And this is what I think the same pattern will be. The business will drive it forward, okay? There will be social change, and then you'll see legislation passed to protect people. That seems to be the pattern. The legislation's never ahead of where the business drives it. It can't keep up. And so what does this do for business? And let's have a look at this. This is a way to think about artificial intelligence. It's your assistant, it's your coach, your general manager, all right? It can find the leaks where businesses are losing money, which is a massive advantage. You can look at the numbers, you can look at the stats. The 80-20 principle, where basically, 80% of your effort gets 20% of results, whereas 20% of your effort gets 80% of results. So you want to be doing 20% of your effort to get 80% results. That's kind of the smarter way to play this. And it can find that productivity gaps, and it finds the edges where you can beat the market you're in. What's your edge? What's the advantage? What's your wow factor? And if you don't have one, it can really help you in terms of defining that and seeing that as well. It watches conversion, what your sales funnel is actually doing. And that's powerful. There's only so many eyeballs you can have it with a sales team or sales manager, whereas AI can analyze this and send reports to a business owner very, very quickly. It also builds the tools. And that's really, really important, right? Because you're only limited by your imagination, what the AI can do, and government legislation. Those are the three restrictions with AI that we've been able to identify. And when you're building the tools, it can work 24 hours, 365 days a year. And that's massive. So it can actually take a lot of that and value add to your clients. As I said, you're only limited by your imagination, not by your budget for developers. And that's really, really a game changer. Because in my business, I have finally been able to build the website I wanted 12 years ago. but didn't have exposure to the expertise could do that. One IT person who was looking at it, was very switched on, one of my clients was looking at it and saying, look, this would have cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to actually develop. And I said, yeah, well, I've been able to do it for just $120. And I said, I reckon it would have taken me with a developer at least 2 years to build out. And we've been able to get it happening in about 7 to 8 weeks. That's extraordinary. It's a massive game changer, right? And of course, you go through the different processes in doing that. But yeah, it's incredibly powerful. It's a game changer. Let's have a look at this example. Let's take a hotel, for example. All right. How can you get the loyalty up for clients? Well, if you had data on guests that are returning to the hotel, they get recognized. Their preferences are remembered, whether it comes from food and dietary needs, So everybody has a different dietary need these days, it seems. Well, imagine if that was inputted into a database and we know that, Bobby, who comes at our hotel, he likes lamb, particularly orders that every time he's with us. And so let's make sure we've got that, okay? Now imagine if the AI could go, you know what, we've noticed that on this weekend, 80% of your guests will actually order lamb. And we've noticed that your favorite supplier of lamb has actually got 20% off this weekend. Would you like us to order extra as these people come in? That's very helpful data for somebody who owns or is managing a hotel. It can help keep the costs down. Rostering, procurement, administration handled continuously rather than weekly. So for example, if we know that Sally, who likes to stay at our hotel, and the last time there was a bit of an altercation, but Mary on our staff helped her through that. Sally's booked in for this weekend, and Mary just has a way with her to get through and just really accommodate her well. Let's roster Mary on the time that Sally's at this time, and yeah, we'll reward Mary for her work there, but going that extra mile and working with Sally, right? Those sort of things can be handled and programmed ahead of schedule, so it's not a shock to your staff. Your staff aren't going, oh, this is a surprise, we weren't told of this. No, we know this is coming in a week to 2 weeks' time, and we want you to plan for it. The other thing is that AI can help as nothing's dropped. Every inquiry answered at any hour in any language is a powerful advantage. You're not just limited to English. You can now reach languages you couldn't before. You can have bots working for you in relation to helping increase the customer service. Now apply that same thinking to whatever it is you run. Okay, what operation and industry you in? Obviously, you know your industry well, hence why you're employed in it or run it, own it. Imagine the possibilities in your situation. And that's how we've got to start thinking with this sort of game. It's already left the screen, all right? And if you think, well, I don't run a briefcase business, I am mechanical, for example. Well, look at what the mobility of these humanoid robots are actually able to do. It's pretty extraordinary, those movements to run a marathon, right? And sometimes AI doesn't quite, go according to plan. Let's have a look at this one.
就这个 bumper， 你看啊，前面已经有人在这 bumper 上栽跟头了啊！走过这个线了。
And this is, I think, what we've got to realize is, yeah, AI doesn't always get it right. But the important thing is these things can be fixed and fixed quickly when bugs occur, right? Obviously, it wasn't lifting its leg high enough to get over that little hump there. So, yeah, those sort of things are happening. But this is not a demo. This is the news. Look at the practical application of this AI situation.
Well, here's something you don't see every day. A humanoid robot chasing a herd of wild boars. Yeah, the now viral video from Poland shows the robot named Edward As it chased the boars out of a Warsaw neighborhood, Edward can be heard shouting, "Go away," in Polish as the animals fled into the forest before then waving goodbye. The AI-generated robot has become an internet personality, even meeting with the Polish parliament and appearing on Polish morning shows.
It's got to run a little faster.
Yeah.
Come on, Edward. Pick it up.
So there you go. You can see how these real-world applications, running a marathon, can actually apply to a situation that actually benefits society, a community. It's not magic, and it does bite, okay? You've got to be really honest about AI and say, look, it can mislead. So you've got to cross-check things. You've got to just not leave it to its own devices. I have found in developing things with it that, it's not until you apply it to real-world situations that you discover what the bugs are doing. And so rolling it out slowly but surely and confident that it is now working is important. But you've got to understand it can mislead. It's very confident, it's fluid, and can be wrong, which is worse, obviously, when it's wrong. It can frustrate customers. It's not the perfect solution for everything. Some people don't want a person and will leave if they can't reach one. I don't like using AI for a receptionist. I want to talk to a human. I'm like, give me a real person to solve this situation. If it's too automated, I'm like, that frustrates me. Okay, so you've got to be careful where and when you apply it. It needs a hand on it, all right? If unsupervised, it will happily automate the wrong thing at scale and just go off with it. We've seen situations where AI has contacted this owner and the owner has gone, have you noticed anything strange? And the AI goes, no, what's that? What are you talking about? And it says, well, why is there $3,500 missing from my bank account? And the AI goes, oh, I did the research on this. This is a course that we can do. And the return on investment will more than exceed what you've paid for the course. Right? And so it's a situation where, well, it needs to be controlled and managed in that way. The argument for learning it properly rather than just dabbling is really, really important here. And that's what we're looking at and going, how do you get past the situations where it does bite and gets it wrong? Well, here's some proof that you don't need to be a developer, all right? This is a gentleman who really helped me get into AI in a whole different game, Darren Good. He saw what I was doing and said, hey, have you considered this? Have you considered that? And then when I looked at his expertise, I thought, he got me thinking. And so his background, he's an acoustic design engineer, maintenance engineer, graduate diploma in mechanical engineering, and a project engineer today. He's worked with some big mining companies and all that sort of fun stuff. So he had my attention when he was talking as an engineer, but very interested in what we were doing. And so we talked and, have come to a bit of collaboration. What he built with AI was really interesting. He built an AI receptionist that answers calls, holds a conversation, takes details, books appointments. He developed a subscription puzzle website deployed on a US server with automatic onboarding and billing, and a server performance diagnostics and industry standard reviews. So this is something that he built out. And have a listen to his own words that he describes in terms of his qualifications on doing this.
Have developed the subscription puzzle websites, and honestly, and so my coding background, I'm an engineer. Yes, in engineering you learn coding. So back in 1990 something, I did one course in Fortran, and then at high school I did one course in Pascal, and since then I've been tinkering with computers a lot. I'm a bit of a Linux nerd, but I've never done formal programming beyond just a couple of really short courses at uni. But what I've discovered now is you can achieve all manner of things. So in my personal life, I've got the subscription website, which is really high quality. Unfortunately, I'm an engineer and not an entrepreneur like Derek there. So I've made a great, beautiful solution that has no problem. So I've got this brilliant subscription website that no one's using apart from myself and my wife. But I've done some projects in the background for Derek. I've done some websites, just looking at what's available and what is possible today versus what could be done years ago. And as another example, at 6 o'clock tonight, I was very quietly typed something into my computer, and it was a very short prompt. And about 8 minutes later, it had created a full version of the old game Risk for me. that I can play anytime I want now. And that was, you just couldn't do that years ago. I couldn't do that 6 months ago, honestly. And in another 6 months, the opportunities out there are going to be phenomenal. So I still work. I work in a...
So yeah, Darren has a good his job. He's building this, but he's seen the capabilities of this, and it's extraordinary what can be done. And so when you start seeing this, I mean, Darren's beautiful filter on this is he comes from an engineering perspective. He sees things in development that I don't from a technical perspective. Safety concerns. He might see things in terms of speed that I had never even considered in some of the projects that we're developing and working on together. So again, the point is this. It doesn't replace your skill set, right? It can enhance it and build it out with speed. And that's the incredible thing about this. Now, in his own words, again, none of these outcomes were within my experience or skill set in terms of the actual coding of that. But of course, he brings his engineering experiences to that. With AI as a tool, all of them were achieved and in a fraction of the time. And that's the whole argument. Not that AI replaces expertise. It lets your expertise reach further than it could on its own. So, what's the solution? Well, we've got the AI Accelerator. There's two ways in. You can pick the one that fits you. Now, if you really want to come up to speed with this, and I mean speed, that's where we've got to go here, because AI is its own speed trajectory. Okay, what happens in the next 6 months in terms of development, there could be a gap in understanding and learning here. If you join us in the Inside Accelerator, this is what you're going to discover, and we hope you do. You're going to accelerate the business, where AI creates tools that lift customer experience, cut costs, and keep people coming back for more, which is really, really important. All right. You're going to learn how to learn fast and execute fast. The gap between an idea and a working tool is measured in days, not quarters anymore. All right. And it's funny, some of the estimates that AI may give you, it says, oh, this might take, months to achieve. And the reality is it can be done in a day or two sometimes, okay, or even less. Third, save thousands in development. My, oh my, building what used to need a developer, a budget, and a waiting list just put it out of reach for many business owners, okay? But now that even playing field has come about. And number four, marketing that keeps up. Content, campaigns, presence maintained at a pace one person just could not hold. It becomes easier with AI. These are four major things that can be done. And of course, reducing administration handling is really important too. I realized in my business that I had a very clunky system when it came to onboarding students when they wanted to enroll in courses with us. So what I did was I worked on that really, really hard and dropped that process, as I said, from going from hours to minutes at a time. And we're improving that more and more as we go. You can also discover this, a forecast and plan, reading customer behavior, spotting trends, planning for what you didn't expect, moving ahead of the game is really, really important. You're going to get a general manager 24/7, something watching the business every hour of every day, not just when you are, okay, and reporting to you whenever time you nominate as to what's been going on and the trends. And let's face it, the world is not going any slower. It's moving faster. It's 24/7 now, and it's expecting us to behave that way and respond that way. Well, AI is a solution in terms of while you sleep, it can watch over what's going on. The latest tools, learning what's current, produces the fastest and best results for the task required. Not all AI handles tasks equally, and there are better AI tools that are suited for different things. We look at all of that in the AI Accelerator. And it's results you can point at, work that stands up to review, produced in a fraction of the usual time it takes. Okay, this is a huge, huge thing. And why this matters now? Well, the window is the thing. AI has turned the corner and it's learning faster than the people deciding whether to learn it or not. All right, while you sit around thinking, is AI good or bad? AI keeps continuing to learn, and industry is just grabbing it and going, we are going with this, we have to. Every 6 months, the tools get better and better, and the people using them get further and further ahead. And the cost of starting doesn't rise, but the distance you have to close does. And the jobs, the contracts, and the customers will go to those who know how to use AI. That's just where the world is going. So the question is, which one are you? All right, there's two ways in. If you want to join us, you can do in the AI Professional. Now, that's 1495 Australian per person. It's designed for small and medium business owners, all right, and professionals who want to lead with AI in their own work. You run a small or medium business, that's perfect for you. You're a professional building your own edge, that's perfect for you. And you want tools you can use on Monday. You want things that you can actually just get out there, make it happen, and make your world a lot more proficient. That's what AI Professional is all about. If you want to go the next level, AI Executive, this is at 6995. This is someone, and for 1495 for each staff member who joins. This is for businesses that have about 20 or more people in them. So every staff member included receives the full AI Professional package in their own right. They get all of that, okay? But this is helping the organization to scale as a movement, okay? We understand it's one thing for the founder or the business owner to have that knowledge, but to actually do it in such a way where the team is moving at the same pace and sees the same vision as the executive there is really, really important. And it's a cultural shift, all right, for many people. A lot of people don't like change. So it's like, listen, this is not here to replace you. This is here to enhance what you can do and do it with greater speed and more accuracy. You want the capability across the business, not in one head. Because if it happens in one head and something happens to that individual, God forbid, well, the team are left without it. And so systems and process have to move with the team, all right? And often those are the constraint, the systems and process. We want to be able to facilitate a larger team to be able to do that. So there's two options for you, and it just really is a case of which one you fit in. So what we're doing here is training the business, not one person in it. That's the key. The owner, AI executive, the strategic overview where AI changes the business and what to do first. And then each staff member, well, they can join for 1495 and they receive the full AI professional package themselves and then go for it in terms of developing that, because they know the nuances of what it takes for them to produce an output. And maybe they can just enhance that a lot more and get it through a lot quicker. The result, one shared language, one standard, and a team that moves at the same speed. And that's really, really important, is getting everybody moving in the same direction at the same time. The usual failure isn't the tool, it's one person learning and nobody else is changing how they work. All right? Alrighty, well, that's how that plays out. Now, I just want to iterate this, what we are and what we're not. Blu Sky Factory is an education company. We're not a licensed financial planning, accounting, or law firm. Nothing here is financial product or advice in this course. The AI platforms discussed are third-party tools. We don't own them. We don't control them. Their capability, their pricing, their availability change without notice. We've already noticed this in the last few months. Different packages come on board. What anyone achieves with them depends on their own business, skills, and effort. And for advice specific to your situation, see a licensed financial planner, accountant, or lawyer. Or in the case, some situations, you've got very sensitive data, IT sensitive information, talk to us about that further. We may have a solution for you in terms of other people we know who are specialists in this area. All right, so it depends on what level you want to play at. Okay, so the question, which one are you? Apply. We'll talk about it. Which one fits you the best? Is it AI Professional? You can get it there at bluskyfactory.com. Apply /AI-professional or AI Executive, bluskyfactory.com/apply/AI-executive. If you have some questions, feel free to email me, Blu Sky Factories without the E. Whatever you do your life purpose and let the technology assist you in getting there faster. Thanks so much. We look forward to talking to you soon.